There are 11 repeaters in this network. So when you say, where is the repeater, you're going to have to specify what frequency you're using. How big is this link? Michigan, sir. Oh. But I'm using UHF. Yes, sir. Our UHF repeaters reach out 30 miles. I thought UHF was only good for 2 miles. No, sir. That was your UHF repeater. This is ours. The last one I'd like to talk about is the link. I have almost nothing to do with these people, but they are the diametric opposite of seamen. There is a organization, there are meetings, they have planning committees, they go out and they generate architecture and documentation and all this other stuff. We don't document anything. We put it together. We figure if it was hard to figure out, or if it was hard to put together, it should be hard to figure out how we put it together. We leave ourselves little cryptic notes so that when we get there we go, I remember this. I wrote this note. How does this work again? The link, you will find reams and reams of documentation. It is all crisply put out, explained in how it will work. And then it occasionally does. Okay. I'm going to stop now and ask for questions. Anything on the topic of amateur radio is up for grabs. I only mumbled about repeaters because last time I didn't have any guidance as to what I was going to talk about and asked for questions, and nobody had any. So, amateur radio, anything. 5 minutes, guys. Fill 5 minutes of my time. Go for it.
On the subject of repeaters, how much trouble do you guys have in the
Huge. 3 years wait.
I've been waiting for a previous repair.
I'm sorry, sir. This is going to sound really silly. Move into the sticks. We are running repeaters from 6 meters up through 2.4 gigahertz. We link them all together. So I think we have one repeater on 6 meters that we link into on a regular basis, and the guy's cool with that. We have 3 or 4 repeaters on 2 meters. We have 5 or 6 repeaters on 70 centimeters. We have a small handful of repeaters on 220. We're 220 support. We have 900 megahertz stuff expanding. We have one guy with a 1.2 gigahertz repeater and one guy with a 2.4 gigahertz repeater. And we link them all together. So it's one big happy party line.
One thing I was concerned about what you were the repeaters that exist in those bands in New York have one user, which is usually better
Motorola. We mutilate Motorola gear. We are very, very happy to take Motorola hardware and turn it into something useful. And essentially all of our repeaters, all of the hardware surrounding the RF stages is Motorola gear that we've stripped out of a cell site somewhere, or a paging site, or this site, or that site, and got for cheap because we hauled it away by the pound. And then we figured out what was useful in it, turned as much on as possible, and eBayed the rest.
Question. Duplexers. I assume you said those are all done in the shack bottom of the tower.
Typically. You can put them anywhere you want between the radios and the antenna, though for reasons of sanity and economics, it makes sense to put them down in the shack and run one piece of coax up the tower as opposed to 2. You can use the heat in the wintertime. They're usually efficient to half a dB of loss per can. This is okay, but you have to make sure your cans are rated for the amount of power you're dumping into them, because this means they're also rated to disperse or otherwise dissipate that much power. Added bonus of using the cans, which I forgot, they act as polyphasers. So when lightning hits your coax and follows down, if you have a set of cans in line, they act exactly like a polyphaser and shunt the lightning to ground as opposed to shunting to ground through your radio. Yes, we do it all the time. We have scorch marks on them. Just paint over it. Nobody will know.
How are the cans connected? Is there like a big lead? Because normally it would be like you don't want to.
Jumpers. Lots and lots of jumpers. If you have a 3-inch chunk of hard line, it comes down to the bottom of the tower, and you have a connector there, and then you have a jumper from it to the shack, which is the radio shack sitting at the bottom of the tower, which has a plate on the outside which has your polyphaser in it, which is big chunk of metal, which is then dragged back to ground. Goes through that chunk of metal plate. There's another jumper inside which takes it to your cans, and from that it then is taken out through more jumpers to all your radios. Yes, though that is built into the pack of cans that you find.
Okay, so they usually come in a 4-pack.
It comes in a 4-pack and a 19-inch rack mount that you can screw into your favorite rack, and there's a Y built in there that's already tuned up. You end up with 2 cans on the left, 2 cans on the right. Yeah, you got it.
That's the really hard piece to get. That's what I see. Well, other than 200-foot tower.
With enough money, it's really easy. This is the challenge, to do it on the cheap. The other point I should make is that if you're creative, you can rewire cans into things other than duplexers, like triplexers and quadplexers, and this can be useful occasionally if you have some reason to triplex an antenna. The mechanical example I have, excuse the pun, is when I'm setting up a linking radio on UHF, on a UHF repeater. We just triplex the thing. We'll use one antenna up there, 3 frequencies at the same time. Okay, I was out of time a minute ago. I'm going to be around here somewhere for the rest of the day until we officially declare this over. And if you have an interest or question, or I didn't cover something in detail enough, let me know. I'll try and make something up. Thanks, guys.